Hello everyone and welcome back. Today is another day trip. This one is to Deoksugung Palace, which is Deoksugung Palace in case you wanted to know. I went on this trip with a history class, so what I learned when going to this trip was a lot of history things. But because it is in downtown Seoul, it's accessible to everybody. The admission for adults between 19 and 64 is 1,000 won. If you have more than 10 people in your group, then it's about 800 won per person. Students 7 to 18, 500 won, and children 6 and under, and seniors 65 and over get in free. Once again, if you wear hanbok, you probably get in for free. It's right across from the city hall, so there are often a lot of protests happening outside of the palace, and currently the main gate is under construction, so finding the entrance right now is a little bit difficult. But if you just go across the street from the city hall station exit number 5, you will get there. You'll be good to go. It'll all be golden. So how to get there? From the Seoul Deoksugung, the Seoul National University station, you just take line 2 towards Bongcheon, and you just take that all the way to Sicheon, the city hall station. And then, like I said, you take exit number 5. Now, if you're taking 2 like I did from Seoul Deoksugung, it's a long walk. You have to go from the 2 station through this 1 station all the way out, but you don't have to leave the underground. And in fact, it's easier to get to exit 5 to the palace going through the subway system rather than doing it above ground, because it's just a one shot. And then there's signs everywhere saying exit 5 is the Seoul City and the palace. So highly recommend that. Check out the hours. Each part of the palace has different opening and closing hours. The main part of the palace generally opens around 9 and closes around 8. Well, I think it technically closes around 9 p.m., but the last entry is at 8, so it closes at 8 for anybody who's just joining in. Like the other palaces I've been to, the tours are completely free. Check out the website in case you have information or questions about that. And let's get going. Deoksugung Palace was first used by King Seonjo in the 14th king of the Joseon dynasty when he returned to Hanyang, present Seoul, after taking a refuge during the Japanese invasion of Korea in 1592, and he used the house formerly occupied by the descendants of Prince Wolsun as a temporary palace, known as Jeongnam-dong Temporary Palace. Prince Gwanhye later moved into Changdeokgung Palace, and Jeongnam-dong Temporary Palace was renamed Gyeonggung-gung. Gyeonggung Palace was again used by Joseon monarch Gojong, the dynasty's 26th king, when he moved to Gyeonggung Palace after a brief stay at the Russian legation. Upon his return to Gyeonggung Palace, King Gojong proclaimed Joseon's new status as the Korean Empire. And after building the Hwagundan altar, he assumed the title of emperor. He also added many buildings and expanded the palace domain to suit the country's new imperial status. The palace at that time covered the area from Cheongdong to the plaza in front of City Hall, and thus was about 3 times the size of today's palace. When Emperor Gojong was forced to abdicate the throne in 1907, Gyeonggung Palace was renamed Deoksugung Palace. Emperor Gojong had lived in Deoksugung Palace until his death in 1919. After which it was quickly dismantled and downsized. When going through the palace, you can see all of the historical buildings, and then there is also the National Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art and Sokjojeon Hall, which are both more modern builds, and in fact they remind me a little bit of American government architecture with the Greek-inspired pillars. So that was very interesting. And if you go out and around behind the palace, just along the wall in the back, there's also the UK embassy and the American embassy. I don't know if they're active embassies, but I do know that they are guarded by lots of police, and they do have the seals and the flags flying. Another area nearby is the Cheongmyeongjeon Hall, which was originally built as an imperial library to store and preserve valuable books. But in 1904, a large fire broke out, and Emperor Gojong, we remember him, started using the hall as his private quarters. You can go inside and see the displays within the hall, but all of the signs are in Korean, so I highly recommend having a camera translator if you don't know how to read Korean, in case you want to read those things. And also be warned, there is a table inside with wax figures that look highly realistic. Overall, I enjoyed my time at the Deoksugung Palace, and I thought it was really pretty. I went in the fall, so obviously the foliage was amazing. This palace is a lot smaller than a lot of the other palaces I've been to, but once again, it's fairly cheap to go to. It's not all that accessible in case you have like a wheelchair or crutches. Not a lot of the palaces are, I've noticed. And no food or drink is allowed in, so make sure you eat either before or after, and don't bring that in to the palace grounds. I think it was really pretty. It's not my favorite palace, I'm going to say, but I do think if you want to get a good history of Korea and the dynasties and the emperors and the different kingdoms and how that all came to head with the Japanese occupation in 1900s and also in the 1500s, I think this is a really good place to go to read the signs and to wander around, because it shows the most Japanese influence, I think. So from a historical standpoint, I think this is a really important palace. From an aesthetics standpoint, I don't think this is necessarily the prettiest palace. I will say though, because it is not one of the more popular palaces, there's a lot less people there. We went at 9 a.m. very early, but we were trying to avoid the protests that happen quite frequently outside. But we went at 9 a.m. and we were pretty much the only people there, which is really nice if you don't want huge crowds when you're taking pictures or when you're just wandering around and trying to enjoy yourself. So I highly recommend going. It was only 40 minutes from Seoul Deoksugung, so it's pretty much right in the center. It's easy enough to get to, and it's a good time. Let me know if there's any place in Seoul that you would like me to explore and share with you, and I will do that. Or let me know if I should just keep exploring by myself and you can join along. I also make vlogs on my second channel, Real Life Cat. The link will be in the description. And if you want to see more of Seoul, more of South Korea, go over there, because I vlog almost every single day and I post every 2 weeks. So you can see a progression of what it's like going to school and what it's like just being in Korea. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you would like me to do. I'm here. If you're not here and I'm here, like, we can work together and you can see the things you want to see through your screen, hopefully. Fingers crossed. I will see you guys next time. Bye!